Yeah.
All right. So my name is Alan C. I'm the CEO of New Kingdom Entertainment. This is my podcast, Be Quiet, Grown Folks is Talking. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot of things, and I am definitely a work in progress. I have a good friend with me here today. Uh, he did the first podcast I ever did. He was it he was a part of it. It was about what we're about to talk about right now. So I'm gonna turn you over to Daniel Taylor. And like I say, he's a good friend of mine. My one of my day ones, the only day one I have left actually. So with that, I introduce you to Daniel Taylor.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? It's like he said, my name is Daniel Taylor. I'm from Queensbridge. Actually, they say born and raised there. 69 years. Um, the first podcast you did, Alan, was about the Queensbridge Baby Park. And at that time, we made a podcast. I had been fighting with the city parks commissioner and a few other entities about a park that existed right alongside the Queensbridge houses. It was a baby park, and I keep saying baby because it was for mostly for young children, babies. They had swings and sliding ponds and sandboxes and showers in it. And they had another section for little older people, with basketball courts and stuff like that. And then the next to it had a handball court. Anyway, and at some point, well, I know exactly what point, the city decided to close it because they was wanted to paint it the Queensboro Bridge because this park is just right under the Queensboro Bridge, which is kind of named now Acox Bridge, but it's still Queensboro to us. And they was painting it, so they closed it because it was supposed to be lead paint um, on the bridge. And then after that project, they were supposed to open it, and they never did. So I'm talking about almost a decade ago that this happened, and at that point, when they didn't reopen it, I had started a petition with the residents of Queensbridge to try to get it open. And I made a couple of PowerPoints and I presented it to the city, to the Parks Department, and was just fighting for it at the time. And we really wasn't making a lot of progress for a lot of years. But I stayed persistent enough, to just keep the subject, relevant. And so to move it forward to this podcast, I wanted to follow up on that particular one because I really didn't make no progress then. But right for this progress, I want to announce the type of progress that was made, because of the persistence of myself and, other people from the community in wanting our park back, the baby park. And so for this podcast, I'm going to be discussing this project that came along. They wanted to rezone a certain area that's near the Queensbridge houses and the Queensboro Bridge in this area that was once the baby park. They want to rezone a section over there. They rezoning means they want to build new skyscrapers and businesses and stuff like that. They want to renovate the whole area. It happens to be an area that that Amazon tried to get quite a few years ago, but he backed out because he got a lot of um, kickback from the residents and everything. Well, this particular project is known as his rezoning project is called One LIC. So I heard about One LIC, just like I heard about Amazon, and I was paying attention and to see, what this redevelopment was about and how we can be a part of it. And we was always left out of a lot of the rezoning projects that happened out in Long Island City. But this particular project, um, I started getting to know the like the main players. And this one, it was actually a city council woman named Julie Wong. She was one of the key players in advocating for this one LIC. And so I sat down with her. Well, I've attended some meetings, and then I sat down with her to discuss how Queensbridge um, is going to be included in this one LIC. And at the time, she didn't have a whole lot of information, but I started explaining to her that there's been so much redevelopment in Long Island City around Queensbridge, from hotels and on the Queens Plaza. There's a bunch of developments from there to Courthouse Square that never included anybody from Queensbridge.
Can I
Um,
say? Can I
yeah,
interrupt you for a minute?
anytime.
Because I noticed the stark contrast. If you stand on 21st Street and you look across, you stand on the opposite side of Queensbridge
Hmm.
on
But
21st Street, and you
in
look
40th
across,
Avenue.
yeah, or for
Hmm.
between 40th and 41st Avenue. We'll just use that section right there between
Right.
41st and 40th Avenue. The contrast is so stark.
Is it?
On the other side, everything is gleaming. Everything is brand new. All
And
these
it's
new
tall.
businesses, all these new stores and stuff like that. And I don't know how it is now, but this was about a year ago, and I was looking across, and I was just amazed at the difference. It was like night and day. If you walk across the street to the Queensbridge looks dusty. It looks like an insane asylum, like a old hospital or something.
Look
You know,
institutionalized.
exactly.
Mhm.
And it's so stark when you look at the contrast and you look how everything is gleaming over here and everything across the street looks dusty and dirty. And it's ridiculous that and
And
what
it's
I
pretty
another
much
thing I know.
still that way, in when you're talking about like the the view, you saying the view. I was trying to think of another word for it, but the background is just stark because it's like, and that's part of what my conversation even with this councilwoman was about, because it's like it's just it was in one of my interviews I did, so people know I did quite a few interviews about this fight for the baby paw. Some news media started catching on to some of the stuff I was talking about, and they kind of probably didn't believe it, so they wanted to hear it personally and what I was talking about. But one thing I spoke about is how this was this modern day discrimination and segregation. Like, it's them over there on that side of Queensbridge, of the Queensbridge, of that bridge, right? Because all
Mm,
that mostly exists on the other side of that bridge, except for maybe some new development of stores. And but for the most part, is on that side, right? It's that side against this side.
that's
And
the
I
way
used
it
to say,
looks.
and then they used to say, so on this side of the track, I used to talk like this at some of the meetings. I said, so on our side of the track, because this is what it amounts to, it's the other side of the track against this side of the track. And I said, even in the original rezoning plan for that one LIC, they had a map. And I looked at the map, and the map went all over like Court Square and Hunts Point and up the side of the bridge, right? Going up towards the plaza, but never crossed the track. You understood what I'm saying, Alan?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the map
I
was
do.
going all over by Silver Cub, all around, Factory District, but it stopped short of coming across our track, right? And this is nothing new. When they was redoing Queensbridge, they had made some promises to a bunch of committees I was on, that they was funding, and they was going to come down Queensbridge and they was going to renovate the whole thing and make bike lanes and nice, walkways and stuff. And they did do that. But the problem was they stopped short of the track. They stopped on the other side of Queens Plaza. They didn't come across 21st Street to
That's
Queensbridge
right.
side.
They didn't come to the other side of the bridge, like you said.
No, nope.
Yeah, and
So
it's
that
crazy.
that's a history of them doing this to us. And I
Yeah,
was bringing that up and trying to make it was good that I had a friend in Julie Wong's, the councilwoman Julie Wong's office. His name is Nick Galati, and he worked with us when he was under uh, um, that the previous council member, Jimmy Van Bramer. Now, Jimmy Van Bramer was a good friend of Queensbridge and my wife,
Yeah, I remember that.
April Simpson, who's since passed. She was the Queensbridge um, Resident Association president for 9 years, about until she got ill. But
I think that's the person that actually gave me my plaque, the plaque I got in my office.
right. He gave a lot of people black, but he
Yeah,
used to do a Black History thing and a whole lot of stuff that was really significant for me. That made me
right.
see that he was, But there's reasons why that guy had a character that was really, genuine. So anyway, he it goes back that far when I started this fight with the park. He even allocated some money for me to do some assessment because the city parks commission was trying to say the reason they're not doing the park because the soil was contaminated. That's in the first compact,
Yeah, I
the
remember
first
that. I remember hearing
podcast.
that.
But the soil wasn't contaminated. And then when I clapped back at him and said, well, if it is contaminated, then you need to find some sludge funds and clean it up
Clean it
because
up.
you're
Absolutely.
contaminated.
Exactly.
And we're still exposed to it. There's nothing stopping, people from walking back there, none of that stuff. So anyway, that they did, a whole lot of lies been told since then, about that park. And then all of a sudden I start seeing they changed it into like a site where the baby park used to be was changed into a storage site and a work site for Parks Department, like some operations that they were having. And supposedly there used to also be a greens program in there where they was going around planting trees somewhere and all of that. I got rid of that was sanitation. I got rid of that, because it was a compost, and I said the smell of a compost was going into people's apartments and stuff, and you can't walk back there, and it stunk like oh holy hell. And
And when
I,
when was all that compost back there?
you don't remember? I don't know, see, because you like been going a minute, but there was a compost right where there used to be the baby swings and the
Oh,
sliding
okay.
farm. They
Yeah.
put
I
a
remember.
they put
Ain't
a
that didn't what's the name try to keep that there because he wanted to have a garden back there or something like that?
who's
Uh
that?
my man, you was
I,
just talking about them the other day, the one that
oh,
sat out there in front of that building. Sugar
oh,
Ray.
yeah. Sugar
Sugar
Ray.
Ray.
Nah, it wasn't there. It was further down. It was more on the
Oh,
other
okay.
side where the
All right.
parking lot was. He built put a garden there. Didn't work out. Not so sanitation owned that, and it was a big thing back at that point about greens program. They had green jobs, and they got people working and planting trees and
Yeah,
beautifying neighborhoods. It was like a big propaganda thing back then, right? But the problem with I said with that was that it to pile up, the manure, dirt, and all that back there, it was just another way to dump, that stuff back there, and it smelled so bad that people was complaining how they couldn't even open up their windows, and you couldn't walk back there. So I found out who was responsible for it because I had got a lot of resistance because it's the green program, and
yeah, yeah.
it turned out sanitation was the one that was in charge of that compost, right? And you know what compost is, right? It's
Absolutely.
like that stuff they just
It's
people
rotten
garbage.
material. It's rotting material.
That's
That's what it
it.
is.
So you can imagine the smell and how
Yeah.
nasty that is. And it
That's
was
why I'm
just too.
asking you because I don't remember uh smelling that. But I didn't go back there.
No,
I basically never
especially
went
after
back
like a
that way.
summer day after it rained. You never was probably back there.
Yeah, yeah,
It was bad, Alan. And
yeah,
in the first podcast, I took pictures. That might even be in the first group of slides that I had in PowerPoint in the first podcast. But yeah, but anyway, long story short, I eventually won that fight against the sanitation, small battles,
yeah,
and they agreed that because there was legitimate complaints filed against that smell, and then we're talking about air pollution now, right? I was using all kind of terms that they
yeah.
they got nervous about, and so they decided to move it. And I said, well, good riddance to you, and I'm not against the program, but I'm just against the location of the
Yeah, they
program.
could have found a better place than that to
Right?
develop.
They evidently did, you
Oh
know.
yeah, so that shows you. Yeah, yeah,
And
they
so
had
this is
other.
like on that note, right? So that they moved that, and then it just gave more room to the Parks Department to park their vehicles and stuff. And then all of a sudden, there was another setback. Um, they decided to do some construction on the bridge. You know, the construction that they did on the roadways that lasted quite a few years. I don't know if that was 5, 6 years. They did the upper level. They literally removed the entire upper level and put new street, new ground, new
I knew I was
roadway.
through there once or twice, and I remember,
Man, it
but I
was
don't
you
remember
talking
that
about a
vividly because
nightmare, Alan. It was a
I
traffic
used to
nightmare.
avoid. I've always avoided 59th Street Bridge because it always seemed to be if you ain't going late at night or early in the
Mhm.
morning, 59th Street Bridge ain't
So
nothing to
now
play
I
with.
got a nice smooth bridge, but I still got a ton of traffic to go, that backs up on it. So I didn't see the
Always.
I didn't really see the benefit of it, but they did do the roadway. But it took them a long time. But you know what they did in Allen? Remember that in my photos on my website, Reclaim the Baby, excuse me, Reclaim Queensbridge Baby Park. I
Hmm.
have I have a group page on Facebook, and if you type that in there, you'll see it. In there, you'll start seeing, scroll, 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 you'll see some old pictures of what the baby park looked like. It took a lot of searching, and my friend from the city council's office, Nicolati, finally found it in some archives where we found out that the baby park was built at the same time Queensbridge houses was built
Really?
in 1939. Yep. The pictures that's on the side is probably in the 1940s or something like that. They're
Yeah.
very old,
Yeah.
but you can see like even the trees wasn't even grown yet.
Yeah. It's still
They were
baby
brand new
trees.
trees. So, but you can see though how that park, how beautiful that park and that area back there was back then, right? And was for a very long time. Even for our childhood, we saw it that way. So
And plus the fact that and I didn't really realize this till I got older and when we first started this thing, that's the only park that basically you don't have to cross the street to get to. If you live on
exactly.
Vernon or you live on 12th Street, you
Those
don't
are the
have to
points I
cross the street.
raised because
Yeah.
they always used to bring up, you got a park right there, Queensbridge Park. They act like, we had
The river
access
you talking
to
about the river park.
yeah, we call it the River Park. They go, it's
Yeah.
Queensbridge Park.
Yeah. It
And
was always a river park to me, and it always going to be the river park to me. But go ahead.
so, but I used to, clap back at them. I said, yeah, Queensbridge Park, granted, is a park right across from the Queensbridge houses. However, that park is for more, is definitely not for children, it's for adults. One reason why, you have to cross a very busy street to get to it.
Exactly.
I said,
Exactly.
and Queensbridge Baby Park, you didn't have to do that. It had
No.
two outlets that you didn't have to cross their street, and
Nope.
children, but parents felt safe allowing their children, even when they was old enough to even go to that park on their own, because they knew you didn't have to cross the street.
And even if you like from 10th Street, that wasn't an issue because there wasn't much traffic in that back street there.
No,
So
it's
cars
more
didn't
like that
come
was
through.
more like a small outlet, and you could run across the street in two
Yeah.
seconds.
Man, we used
Not
to
even.
remember we used to open the Johnny Pump there on 12th Street to 10th Street that used to shoot across the 10th Street. That
Yeah.
Johnny Pump was open every summer. Every summer
Yeah,
we opened
and we
that
used to
Johnny Pump
play in
up.
the street. That just
Exactly.
goes back to how
Exactly.
safe it was for us to kind of, in some neighborhoods, it's safe for children to play in the street because you didn't have all that thoroughway traffic that you
Listen,
have today.
it was so less traffic down there. I remember my brother when he first got his car. Yeah, Mike, how can I not come up with my brother's name right now? Terry. Yo, we
Terrorists.
getting old, bro. We getting old. But I remember when Terry got his first car, he used to do donuts right in that back corner there where it turns right there.
Yeah.
There was enough space there that he did donuts there.
Alan, I remember that too. That's some things that amazes me how we could remember. And then 2
and don't remember.
seconds. 2 seconds later, we won't remember.
That's true. That's true.
But back to that whole thing with the park. That, like you said, I agree with you that the river park is for adults. It has baseball field. Now it has volleyball courts and it has soccer courts, and they had this little park for the kids. And I
Yeah.
said that, but that don't. I said Queensbridge is the largest development in the entire nation. How does that park serve Queensbridge?
But you know that
Whereas
that little park is new. I don't remember that back in the
no,
day.
that goes back a long way. Remember, it used to be Dodge City or something. We used to call it because they had forts in it. I
Did
don't know
they?
if you did. Yeah,
I,
remember Dodge City in there? It had
nah.
it had these wooden forts, so we used to get splinters for days. But
Oh,
they had a
okay.
they had a they had a wooden fort we used to play in, and but it's been there for as long as I can remember. The park that's been there,
But
and then
when we
they
was kids, I know we wasn't allowed to go there without our parents. Like we wasn't
no.
allowed to go there unless we was
Yo, we used
escorted.
to sneak over there to go sleigh ride and all kind of crap, but we weren't really allowed to do that.
That's right.
Remember, we used to go sleigh riding over there. I used to get in so much trouble.
Man, I
We
know
ain't gonna
I
talk
could talk
about
about
that.
a whole lot of things that was done over there in the dark and under the cover. Yeah.
so that so that so that so that was established with them that is not a children's park. That's an adult park. And what I'm talking about with you, when it comes to the Queensbridge Baby Park, is a park that was designated for
Yeah,
children,
it was. It was.
dated all the
Because
way
that's the
back.
only park that had sand pits and
It had
the little
sandbox.
slides and everything. It had the baby swings, not the
They
regular
had,
swings, but the
they had
baby.
baby swings. They had bigger swings for bigger children on the other side,
Right.
and basketball courts, and then the handball courts. That's what I was saying. But the park itself, what I found out, was a lot of acres. It was big.
Yeah.
It was huge for
It
especially for
was.
us when we was
It
kids.
wasn't
It
the whole
was
park wasn't
gigantic.
utilized. The whole area was never utilized.
Yeah, I mean, like it was in the sense because it had a lot of area for parents to sit down and watch their children.
Well, yeah,
Had a
it did.
lot of space for that, and
It
it had
did.
space for us to run around, rip and run, play ring a lie, whatever we wanted to do. We had
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
It
That's
was
why,
a
yeah,
big
it was a
park,
lot of space back there. Yeah.
and so I was trying to make them envision all of that, and it wasn't until this guy Nicolati found these pictures where it actually confirmed what I had been arguing about verbally. Even in my first podcast, I could not really grasp it with the pictures I had of how big that park was, but I could tell you that it was huge and there was a lot of damage done to it, purposely. So what I was going to tell you is when I had a setback was when they started doing construction on that bridge and they took. You remember the entrance that used to go up to the trolley car?
All right. We've lost Danny, but I'm gonna get him back. Uh hope he logs back in. All right, let's get started. I'm gonna shut this music off. All right, this is a part two to two-part podcast. We did one yesterday, ran into some technical difficulties, so we're going to finish up today. Still have some technical difficulty, but we're going to work it out. Anyway, once again, I'm going to turn this over to Daniel Taylor. My name is Alan C., CEO of New Kingdom Entertainments, and I'm going to turn it over to Daniel Taylor.
My name is Daniel Taylor, lifelong resident of Queensbridge Houses. In our discussion in the part one yesterday, we were talking about my effort to reclaim some property that the city had kind of took away from the Queensbridge Houses. And on that property was this park called Queensbridge Baby Park. This is what the discussion was about. It's been like almost a decade-long battle that I'm having with the city and a lot of its agencies, like Department of Parks, Department of Sanitation, and Department of Transportation. All those eight entities at one point had made different claims to part of that park. Like they was making storage parking lots, and sanitation made a compost, like some greens program. So since then, like I said,
Danny, I don't mean to interrupt you, but when we left off yesterday, you were talking about how they were doing work on the top of the bridge and how all that affected, once again, set you back.
That's when the Department of Transportation started coming in. The Department of Transportation was doing construction on the top, and you see my background, you see the Queensboro Bridge back there. And on the top upper level, they were replacing the whole roadway. And that was quite a few years project. But they had it used to be a trolley, it used to be a elevator that took you from the bottom on Vernon Boulevard, or right at the edge of this end of this park. There was this elevator that took you up to the trolley when it was a trolley, and then it was just abandoned for years, right? A lot of years, we're talking decades. And then when they started that construction, they reactivated that elevator. They used to go up. They even put a turnstile to put security so no one could just go in there. And they go into work, and they would go up the elevator to the upper level and have construction. Now, when I'm telling you, there was a lot of construction workers up there during this period when they was doing constructions. And my connection with the bridge. So anyway, when they was going up there, they was parking their cars all over on the green section of my background picture. All that's green where the trees are. They was parking their cars. They was destroying it, and it was crazy. And they also across the street in the I want to say River Park, called Queensboro Park, Queensbridge Park. I mean, there was a section that was behind the park house that was just an empty lot. It didn't have nothing in it but bushes and trees, right? For years, they took over that lot, and Department of Transportation moved this whole operation from Staten Island to there. And they put up all these trailers on top of the whole operation going on in the island, where they just pitched a tent and they was there to stay, So it was real difficult when I was like trying to get them to understand that this park belonged to the public, more specifically Queensbridge residents, and that they really never gave us no notices. They didn't go through proper channels. They just totally on the I don't know if it's their left, but it's my left. You'll see pictures of the park. You still out there, Alan? Because your pictures went away.
Yeah. I just shut the picture down because I was gonna do something.
Yeah,
while I was talking.
I was just making sure that you were still there. That we were still recording, though, right? Yeah. So
nah. Everything's still good.
My left,
you good. You go.
So on my left time, you'll see pictures of what was in that park. This is like an aerial view over here where you see the bridge, but this is actually like a line of sight picture where they had benches. And this is an old picture when the park was first built. I think this is a picture maybe date back to the 1940s. That's how old this picture is. And that's how old that park was. And you'll see a lot of benches. Our parents used to take us there, and they would sit on the benches kicking at each other. We'd be over here playing on the monkey bars, the swings. Over here, as you don't see it, but it used to be a seesaw, and it just wasn't. I guess it wasn't built yet, and it was swings for the children, and then for older kids.
That must have been when this was first made. That must have
That's
been
what
when
I'm
this was
saying.
first made because it looks so nice.
These are some old pictures. And you could tell that out only because of the trees. Look how small the trees are. They're like freshly planted trees.
Yeah.
They're not even grown. Now you go back there, all those trees
I just noticed that.
Fully grown. All these trees are fully grown. You know, like it's really a greenway. This pathway is called Queensbridge Way. Like I did a lot of research on this, and I found blueprints, you know, city blueprint, because at one point they didn't even know what the name of this was. It's like Queens, they never heard of Baby Park. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
and
I never knew it was. I never. Dan, I don't mean to cut you off, but I never knew it was green. What'd you say?
That's the official name of that path. Queensbridge Way.
Okay.
Remember, this is off
a lot of skin.
I
left a lot of skin on Queensbridge Way, riding a bicycle and crashing and getting road rash. I left a lot of skin on that little we used to race down there. We used to go as fast as we go, all the way from 21st Street all the way to Vernon Boulevard.
Oh, I learned how to roller skate on the old metal skates that, you know,
the worst.
Back when we was kid with the skate key. Yo, we talking about scars. We have a lot of battle scars from just playing. Because they didn't have mats and stuff like they got now, and safety things for the children. They didn't have that when we was young. But however, it didn't stop us from having fun. You know? And
I remember the swings in Gladiator School. You would have some people try to wrap the swing around, and then you would try to get up as high as you can, and then jump over the fence that was around the swings. We used to do all kind of crazy.
We were some little evil Knievel's.
For real.
You know, we was trying stuff, and this is a blessing that we survived. And, you know, the equipment that I'm talking about replacing and, you know, hopefully putting back there, of course, is going to be stuff that's going to be safe for the children. They won't do the crazy stuff we did and get injured like we got. But yeah, that pathway is called Queensbridge Way, and it runs all the way into the River Park or Queensbridge Park. It runs all the way into there, and it goes all the way around to by Con Edison Wall and come out the other side. That whole path has a name. I just wanted to make that point. And it's associated with Queensbridge. It's called Queensbridge Way. And, you know, and these are the arguments I had with them. I said, I don't know what you're talking about, but here's the blueprint. And that PowerPoint, one of the PowerPoint, I didn't get to show you this, but I had a point that had that blueprint on it, and it showed it. And I have other things that's on the webpage that I created called Reclaim Queensbridge Park. Facebook, if you go there, you type Reclaim Queensbridge Park, you're able to go on that site and see the pictures I'm looking at and many more. I did a bunch of videos. I'm just going to show this picture. This is what they did they made storage bins, the parking areas, and that previous view, that nice little area you saw, you say, oh, it's so nice. This is what they did to it.
Yeah.
They turned it into storage yards with their old equipment, you know, old dirt and old, you know, bricks. It's just ridiculous what they did. And this is just a small section. So you can imagine this entire section of this park, they did this too. They made a dump, storage, parking lot. You see in my cursor?
No, I can't see you. I can't see you. No.
No, don't worry.
Maybe if I go back, if I
but anyway,
the screen.
I was just wondering for the recording purposes, because I know this is going all over my screen.
Nah,
no, you don't have to worry about it.
I see my cursor. I don't see yours.
You know, don't worry about it. But you can go back to the other screen. So anyway, yeah, I just wanted to see that real quick. Anyway, so the Department of Transportation took over that property, all that area back. I ran into I just need to show this picture too. You know, we remember that's the basketball court I was talking about, where the bigger, maybe bigger kids, you know, babies was playing on one side of the park, like towards where I'm, you know, where my pictures.
Danny,
and then you go on this side.
When the courts on 12th Street was full up, when you couldn't get a run because the older guys was playing on 12th Street, we used to go to the baby park and play that basket right there that you see right there was basically open a whole lot. And so we knew we could go back there and play. Because also it was on such a slope. It was on such a slope. People didn't really want to play there anyway. But it worked when you didn't have nowhere else to shoot. It was perfect.
Exactly. And there was four basketball courts. And you know, although you said it wasn't highly used, like, you know, it was still utilized very, you know, quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely.
And same thing with the handball court. In my picture, you could actually see the handball court. My background picture.
I see it right there.
You see the handball court. It's like a little white area. So anyway, in my fight, they tried to silence me, right? At one point, they just iced me. They wasn't communicating with me. And then the pandemic came, and they started having these after the pandemic, I mean, they started having these town hall meetings, and they was the subject of the park was coming up by the Parks Department, and I would crash these meetings in town hall and tell them like, "Yo, what's going on with the baby park?" Right? I would like take it over, like, and they would, you know, tell me things that was in the planning for it. And but there was a lot of money that was allocated to parks in general, and then for this area, it was supposed to be some money allocated to it, but it did never make it there. You know, to make a long story short, and that's what I'm trying to make sure don't happen again. You know,
yeah.
So
people need to show up. People need to show up.
Yeah, you know, a lot of times, you know, what used to frustrate me is I went through a lot of town hall meetings, a lot of forums, and they had a forum at LaGuardia College. They had a forum at all the way to City Hall, and you can guarantee that I was there, you know, and I would have the patience. I put my name on to be a speaker. And we'll wait till they call my name. And about the people we talking, you know, mostly the people on the other side of the track, you know, and I always call the other side of that bridge, the other side of the track, which is a higher income bracket people. It ain't low income people like ourselves that lived in Queensbridge. And they would be there. No, we don't want them in our neighborhood. We don't want not in our backyard. Not, you know, this is like the racist stuff that I used to talk to these people. But that's what you'll sound like to us, you know, on our side of the track. Not in my backyard. You don't never want nothing that'll benefit us to go on your side, you know. And so I would make it clear that this whole idea of building, you know, they want to rezone now. You need to include us in it, and you need to include giving us our park back, right? Our open spaces back, you know, because they took it from us, you know. So like I said, I was having all these hearings and stuff, and eventually I got the ear of a councilwoman called Julie Wong, and her assistant, her second in command, his name is Nick Galati. Nick Galati, he really was instrumental in even getting these pictures, these old pictures you're looking at right now. One that was able to find them in some art and bring it up, because I always wanted to, you know, to try to find pictures to prove that the baby park existed and what it looked like, and he did it for me, you know. And there's a lot of pictures on that site to reclaim the baby park, where you can actually go and really get a good idea of what I'm talking about as far as what that baby park looked like. And you also get a good idea on how they totally destroyed it. They tore down everything except that handball court. and on the other side is a parking
Basically,
lot.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened.
They did. They took everything away, and it was so nice. It used to be a park house here when we used to go. Remember, we used to go in the summertime then, and we used to have we used to have PAL and all that, and play knock hockey and all kind of games in this park house, and we'd be there for hours, man. We used to be in this park for hours just playing. You know, they had showers for the kids, and you know, I mean, it was just a place where I used to tell them this was a lifeline for us. It wasn't just a park, you know. This is where our parents took us. It was like almost like a daycare for us, you know, to be there and be able to hang out with each other and play with each other for long periods of time. Give our parents a break from us being in the house under you know, like you say, under their.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
You know?
There was a place that we could go by ourselves, you know, because they were connected. We didn't have to cross no streets. So that part, you know,
right? They had a portion of it that literally connected to Queensbridge, you know, and like I said, I can't stress it enough that the park was built for Queensbridge residents, and it was specifically for the children in this on this site, where you'll see a lot of white children. You know, it wasn't just us, you know, because Queensbridge was very mixed at one point. Had a lot of whites and, you know, other cultures there.
And it was pretty mixed when we was coming up. So you know what it was like before we got there.
That's what I mean. You know, so there are pictures that shows like a bunch of white children on those monkey bars, not just us. You know, you know. So anyway, this fight went on for, like I said, a lot of years. But then when I met the councilwoman, they had invited me to a meeting to discuss this rezoning plan that stems from Vernon Boulevard and Queensbridge South. This is the north side where we are. We're on the north side of the track. The other side is the south side, right, of the track. And they had this rezoning plan to rebuild and build nice skyscrapers like you see over there. The co-ops,
I see it. I see it has come to fruition.
And then, you know, on Long Island City, on the waterfront by the Pepsi sign, they've already started that. You know, it's a whole new city over there.
It's beautiful over there. It's beautiful over there,
man. So they want to rezone another portion of it, where I don't know how many people that might be watching this that remember that Amazon was trying to buy the education building to make it their corporate office, and that's a lot of land that he was trying to make the corporate office. But they're trying to get that stuff that goes all the way down Vernon Boulevard, like towards 108 and all that, and then all the way towards Hunts Point and Court Square. This is a big major project, right? The biggest one the city has been involved in quite a long time, you know, development. And
didn't they build a beach down there? Don't they got an artificial beach or something down there?
No,
like
that's the East River.
On the riverside, like you were saying, going towards the 108 precinct. Because people keep telling me there's an artificial beach back there. I've never been back there though. But people keep telling me there's like a beach. Well, I mean, not a beach, but I mean sand. I mean sand, huh?
Well, yeah, they have that's Gantry Park, which is another part of it, right? Because part of the goal of that rezoning, they want to build the co-ops, some businesses, some schools and stuff like that. And then the open space part of it, they supposed to, you know, you have to read the plan. The plan might be on my website too. They want to build open spaces to accommodate. Like, you know, open spaces might be sitting areas, gardens, and parks, right? And this is where I kind of jumped into this conversation. When they said parks, my ears went on because I've been fighting for this park for a long time, right? So y'all want to renovate some parks. And so my ears was good. So one of the plans in this one LIC is that they want to take that park you just told was called Gantry Park. It's very nice, Alan. I'm telling you, when it's nice, it has open spaces for adults. It has things for children. I remember going to a silent disco there in this open space. It was so nice. They have concession stand where you could literally buy food and refreshments inside that park. But it's very nice, and it has areas you can sit on, of course, with picnic benches and stuff like that. I don't know if you could barbecue there, but I know that you could comfortably. I remember having lunches there and stuff like that when I bring the kids, but it was like we was intruding on that area. It was not. It didn't really feel like it was us, because the most of the people you see there wouldn't be people that look like us, And they're talking about taking that park, right, Gantry Park, the waterfront, right? They want to build a promenade that links that park to Queensbridge Park. Now, at first I was like, that ain't for us. That's going to have these people coming on our neighborhood. I got really defensive about it, right? But then the more I thought about it, it would also give us access to there. So we would have access to their park. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
We wouldn't be so disconnected, or segregated like we are if they built that promenade. So I brought into the promenade eventually, but also what I brought into more was this whole thing about making sure there was enough open space and parks to accommodate people and children, right? So I asked them, so when I first saw the map stopped behind the bridge over here on the other side of the track. The whole map was going all the way to Court Square and to Hunts Point, up the plaza, and it did not come across on the other side of this bridge.
That's
so
crazy.
I started talking to the councilwoman, and I said, look, and I remember attending a Zoom meeting, and I said on the Zoom meeting, I waited and for about 4 hours, and I finally was called. I said to them, forgive me. I said, I'm a lifelong resident of Queensbridge, and I have to say that all the development that's happened even to this point, before we even talk about this, when I see everything that's happened from Queensbridge all around, with all the hotels that they done built in Long Island City, all this new development never included Queensbridge, people on this side of the track. I said, I don't know nobody. And I said, and this is a shame. I've been here quite a few years, 69 years at that point when I'm having this conversation. Do I know anybody that lives in any of that development or even works there? And I said, that's a crime. That's segregation and discrimination to the utmost. I said, I don't know nobody that works there or even lives on that stuff, and that's the problem. I said, we at Queensbridge don't have no confidence in what you're talking about is going to benefit us. If anything, you're going to try to come, and probably take away resources from us,
What little like resources is there?
Yeah, like you did the baby park, because that was a resource for us,
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
That kind of got the attention of the councilwoman, and she did give me her ear and a sit down, right? And I said to her that, like to get, if you really want to win hearts and minds of the Queensbridge residents, not just Queensbridge, but everybody on that side of the track, all the way to Astoria, right? I said, if you want to win, you got to stop talking about things like affordable housing, like you're going to allocate this many units of affordable housing, because it's not, as everybody say, affordable for who? It's never affordable. You did that before. You did it on Platte. You did it over there in the new development over there by Gantry Park. And what's affordable is they take the median income for the people that lives in that area, and none of us live there. So it's not affordable for us. I said, you got to stop saying that and start saying things like 100% affordability, or better yet, allocate a certain amount of units for low-income families. Say that. Say that you're going to do that. that you're going to really allocate real affordability. 100% affordability means that I should be able to afford it. And the lowest, say like the lowest rent shouldn't be no more than $2,000, you know, say for maybe a 1-bedroom or something like that, you know, something that should be the cap, you know, not 15,000 like it is now, you know, like out of our range, you know. So she understood that. And so in her presentations later on in the hearings that she was having, she was talking to the developers, right? There's a bunch of big players involved here that want to do this building, right? They stand to make millions, you know. Something similar to like what would have happened with Amazon. You know, if he was given his way, you know, he would have made millions in New York City, right? Probably still is anyway. But
he'd have made billions. Forget millions. He'd have made billions. And see, that's the thing. Problem I have. I see, like I said, we was talking earlier in the first segment, that little section between 41st Avenue and 41st Street on 21st Street, you could see they have invested billions across the street. But you walk across you just walk across the street, and it's
none of it.
You're in a desert. Like it's desolate.
None of it trickled down to us. None of it. Alan, I agreed with you then, and I agree with you now. And this is part of why what was motivating me to say what I said about we've never benefited from any of this development, and I meant that. None of it. And it's not a lie. It's not exaggeration. It's the truth. We've never benefited from it. If you could prove me wrong, please do. And so when Julie Wong did her research, she discovered that was actually true. That we were the lowest as far as park access. Like we, you know, what park do we have access? Now, I'm not talking about Queensbridge Park. Remember, that's an adult, but where children can go and safely, and parents take their children and safely be. There is none nearby Queensbridge residents. You know, you would have to go a pretty good distance, maybe even to Astoria Park, to even see something.
Or what is that? Rainy Park? That little small Rainy Park?
Rainy Park, they just renovated it. So I got to give them. But before that, Rainy Park wasn't really nothing in it, you know, too much.
No.
To accommodate, you know, be worth walking way down there just to take your child to play on some swings or something like you used to be able to do in the baby park.
Mm-hmm.
So she realized that. And her language started, and she really started fighting with the developers and saying, okay, this project, you know, if it's going to happen, this has to happen, ABC. And one of the things she was listening to me about, and I was saying, as far as the housing thing, affordability, she started talking that language, like, you know, low percent affordability. And I told her, even if they say like the developers say, all right, we're going to allocate 400 units, right? Towards, they always say that, that's going to be affordable, right? So now they're saying 400 unit is supposed to be 100% affordable, and a certain another amount is going to be specifically for low income families, which means it doesn't matter what their income is. And I said, and you can do that because they do it other places, and you could develop a lottery, right? And you just do a lottery for those apartments that you're allocating for low income families. You do a lottery and give people the chance, you know, at least the hope that they may win the lottery and be able to live in one of these fabulous units that you're getting ready to build, right? And it happens. It's happening in Manhattan. It's happening in other places where they do these lotteries, and especially in the Bronx, you know. And so that's the language now, Al. And that's what they're saying they're gonna do. So the one LIC had to go to the city council, and the city has to approve it. Went across the mayor's desk, and the whole nine. The current Mayor Madani, is a really good friend of Julie Wong's. I met him before he even I found out he was running for mayor. He actually came to April's funeral, my wife's funeral, and introduced himself to me because he knew I was a friend of Nick Galati and Julie Wong. And he introduced himself. He didn't say, "Yo, I'm running for mayor." He didn't come politicking. He just said, "I'm, sorry for your loss. I just want, he was a council person or something like that himself, right?" And he introduced himself, and I respected him for that. He came in the center to do that. When we was having our repast, and so anyway, friend, and so we got a mayor now in there that knows about this project, and I have to say.
Yeah,
and I'm
it's so funny. Now I remember him. Because I was there too. And
right.
I remember
he's pretty tall. He gets hard to miss him in the room. He's
but
Indian.
You couldn't miss that he's Indian.
National.
I mean that he's Indian. I
right.
remember now.
And he was kind of like
come up in there. He did.
Yeah,
he wasn't with nobody.
He
didn't have no escort or nothing like that. He was on his own.
That's why I was wondering. He came up to me. He introduced himself. He was by himself. But when he said that he knew Julie Wong, I was cool with him then. When he said he knew Julie Wong, and this guy, you could see this guy Nick Galati's on the outside. His name is what the basketball court is, but he's actually the councilwoman's second in command. But he's a friend of April when she was the Resident Association president, and when Jimmy Van Bramer was the council person, he was on his administration. Then that's where we met him. And I remember going at Julie Wong about wrote a check for Queensbridge Park. What's her name? Andrea Adams, that was running for mayor at one point. That dropped out of the race.
I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
She came to Queensbridge for Bishop Taylor Day, which is supposed to be, Queensbridge Family Day. Let me not say that, but that's what I was calling it because he can kind of controls it, and he has his stage up there. Anyway, they came
That's
on
what it was.
Big
That's what it was. That wasn't Family Day.
Julie
it's
Wong
exactly what you said it was.
Julie Wong and Adriana's was up there on the stage, and they presented. Well, Ms. Adams, she presented Julie Wong with a check, and on this big check, right, it had Queensbridge Park on it, and it was for like $3 million, Alan. Right?
Wow.
And I seen this presentation, right? But in my mind, I'm saying, okay. And so right after the presentation, I stepped to Julie Wong. That's why she knows me. I stepped right to her. She had just had a baby, had the baby tied to her. And I walked up to her. I think she got a little nervous. And I said, I just got a question. I said to her, I see that you got this check where it says Queensbridge Park. But I see also that it's addressed to you on the bottom. So you control where that money is going to be spent, right? And she was like, yeah, she got a little flustered by the question, right? Because I'm going to say, so how are we going to, and I did say that, how is that money going to be spent on Queensbridge Park? That was my question. So she deferred me to a site that she created that was supposedly, you could go on it and give your suggestion of where you think that money should be spent on, right? Something similar to like participatory money. They have that participatory money that they give away. They award certain projects, as long as they're a capital project. April used to win it all the time. She got resent a new van. They just, Lord, I think Alan, last year, they just gave up. And April's been gone a little while there. She's been out of that offer. But her and Jimmy Van Bramer were instrumental. He came back when they christened the van. They had the big old ceremony for the van, the brand new recenter van. It's a nice 16 passenger. But that came out of participatory funding. So they award things. You see how she did the basketball courts on 10th Street? How all that. You wonder where that money, all that money came out of the councilmatic money, the money that the council people have, but you have to do these presentations, whatever you want to call it, these proposals, and talk about the money. You know, what you would do if you won like part of $1 million? Where would it go to? She used to do basketball courts, children playgrounds, gardens, and stuff like that. And she won quite a few of them. You know. Anyway, to get back to the point, I asked her about sent me there, and when I went on the site, the only thing that was up on that site that people were talking about related to the Queensbridge Park is they wanted to see another pool there. I was just asking a question again about the pool. When I was on this meeting the other day with this committee that's being formed to discuss the baby pool, this open space. And I'm gonna wrap it up with that. Real quickly though, that was the only thing that was mentioned was they wanted to see the pool back and I went up there and I blasted it. I said, look, they spent all this money to renovate Astoria pool, right? I said, Astoria pool is not that far away. Get on the bus and go. I said, but what's really needed in Queensbridge Park, and it was evident after Sandy, is it needs infrastructure. It needs money to go into the sewage systems. You have torrential rains like that the sand and the dirt don't come rolling down onto Vernon Boulevard, causing it to collapse. It's twice, Alan. People's cars went into ditches.
The pool,
water was
the pool. Hold up.
Roof.
The pool in the River Park, the
Mhm.
when they had one in there, collapsed twice.
No, the pool. They wanted to see the pool back in there. I was objecting to that when I wrote to Julie Wong to say what ideas that money should be spent on. I said, forget, they have Astoria pool. They can get on the bus, right? And enjoy. They just renovated the Astoria pool. It's very nice on there for a senior program and doing some aerobic during the mornings. I used to go there like 10 o'clock and they do water aerobics for about an hour or so. And then, you know, Queensbridge Center senior program was buses there. We do our water aerobics and come back to the center, you know. It's real nice now, you know. I said they can go there. I said what Queensbridge Park needs first and foremost, and I just said it again at this meeting I was in, is infrastructure. They need to invest in better. The water, when you look at that park, it's very poor when it comes to drainage, right? Water sits in the middle, you know, in the middle in places, and it destroys it. It gets mushy, and you know.
Oh man, Danny, like 2-3 years ago, that whole Vernon Boulevard in front of the park was flooded. That whole
that's what I'm getting ready to say.
Go ahead.
And this was recently.
Yeah,
she has it in one of her commercials. Now she has that. You know what she's talking about now? They're getting ready to invest a lot of money. There's a flyer on the webpage talking about this meeting they're having in Sunnyside. I forgot that, but it's about the flooding issue, and they're about to invest a lot of money, Al, when I tell you, in doing some new sewage. And it's supposed to stretch from Sunnyside, and it claims, according to the map I saw, it claims it's going to stretch all the way to Queensbridge. All right. But anyway, that's what I had suggested, that they needed to do that because Vernon collapsed twice. It's sunken. There was big sinkhole. When I say a big one, like from one side of the block to the park side had fell into the ground twice. Now, and that's because it's so unsettled with the waters and like you said, flooding like that, and it weakens the, you know, what's underneath. You know, we was nothing but swamp land in the first place. I ain't gonna go there.
Yeah,
but that's all it was before we started.
It
was a big swamp. To get back to this park, right? So the one LIC plant, city council got on board with the idea of trying to get the baby park back. right? She recognized the baby park and that it was an atrocity that they took that park, and it was, that it needed to be given back to the residents of Queensbridge specifically, but to the Long Island City, everybody has access to park. It's a public park, right? And I never act like it was just us, the plan is called One LIC. So I said, so let's be one LIC. Stop being segregated with it's them and it's us, Like we need to do things where we both can share, like that promenade. We could both share that. Now I tell you, under the bridge, I want them to build a sports pavilion where we could learn how to play pickleball. We could do tennis or something. We don't have access to none of that. And I want them to build something like that in one of the open spaces. Anyway, she fought, right, with the developers and the city. They had these big hearings. I attended a lot of them. And then eventually there was the vote with the city council. And what I found out, city councils usually don't vote against a council person when it's the project, it benefits their district. They usually vote along with that person. So this particular one LIC benefits Julie Wan's district. So when the vote went before the city council, they voted in favor of it. And that didn't happen with Amazon, and that didn't happen with the other plan. I forgot the name of it. Long Island City something. There was another plan that developers was trying to redevelop that land, but it fell through. Their presentation didn't show enough to show how, and there was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of opposition against this one.
Well, Danny, I told you recently I seen the bishop on some program talking about he was supporting Amazon coming to this area. I'm not sure exactly where he's talking about it.
He didn't get on there, Alan. That's why I get really upset. I even really hate to talk about the guy because I've never seen him get on this show or anywhere on Facebook or anywhere and talk about how this plan. I don't think he believed this plan unless it had something. What part of this plan that he was only interested in because he's standing maybe to make money from it or whatever. It was the employment part of it because he has the urban upbound employment center. He has that there. He has it in Harlem. And he has several sites. And he gets all that funding to run this employment program. That's the only thing he was interested in. And he attended one meeting. I haven't seen him since after this one meeting. The meeting I told you I waited for almost 4 or 5 hours. He spoke at it. He didn't say a whole lot that to me would, like what I'm trying to say to them is show me how we gonna benefit from it. Like, let's be realistic, because I've heard this before. I've heard it a lot of times, and we've never been. So I want to hear a change in the language, and that's what I was telling Julie Wong. Change the language to make it really be specific to us. So in the final analysis, the proposal for the one LIC actually passed, right? So that means they're going to redevelop that area. They're going to rezone it. They're going to build some nice more buildings like you see down there, like on Queens Plaza, like everywhere else. The only difference is some of that housing and some of those businesses, we will be able to benefit from it if you pay attention. All right. That means you got to not be like, it's never been, it's not for us, because it is now. Has a built-in mechanism where we stand to benefit from it. First, you know what I'm saying? We got some preferences. And another thing that plan stretched when it came to the open space, the one thing I said, and I told Nick and Dottie this, we don't want to see nothing built as far as open spaces before they rebuild Queensbridge Park.
Real
this
simple.
Will be the first priority. That open space you're seeing behind me, you see how it looks now, as far as this dump area, y'all need to fix that up first. That's the first open space. And let me tell you, this ain't a little bit of open space that they won back. It's Queensbridge Baby Park.
I'm looking at it. It's huge. I didn't realize it was that huge.
It goes even further than this, Al, that I didn't think, I never dreamed we would get it. But you know, right at the end where the ramp is, there's a little area where they used to park trucks and whatever, Department of Transportation. And across the street from 21st Street, under the bridge, there was a big lot. They used to just put these cones and stuff and store. It's always about storage.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Under there, the Department of Transportation, all that, all the way to Silver Cup. That under that bridge, right?
Yeah.
That they use.
Yeah.
They no longer have those lots no more out. And then the ramp, the upper level ramp, when it used to go towards Jackson Avenue, you have some more of those same open lots under there.
Yeah.
That's also included.
Okay.
Now, this is a whole lot of open space.
It is. That's a whole lot of open space.
And I'm not just talking about those little islands over there in Court Square and all, you know, those little islands they have that they build. And so I'm not talking that crap. I'm talking about legitimate spaces that they could either make parking lots. For us, I said, well, we need, that's why they're having the walk and talk, right? And I need us to participate, like you were saying. They're having the walk and talk this Saturday. And I'm trying to get a lot of people from Queensbridge to participate in it and talk, you know, talk to them about what you know this used to be and what you would like to see.
And where are they meeting at? What time?
Walk and talk is early morning. It's 11 to 1. It starts on Jackson Avenue. Remember I tell you I had got a bus. I got we sent if the weather permits, because it had been canceled already once because of weather. So I don't know what the weather's going to look like. It's going to be okay. I saw it this morning. It's going to be sunny, a little chilly, but it's going to be sunny. So it starts in Jackson. Now they're going to look at stuff in Hunts Point and Court Square, and they're going to walk or whatever's capable of walk. But eventually, the main point of interest is going to be right here, Queensbridge Way. They're going to start here at the Baby Park, and they're going to walk all the way to the waterfront in the Queensbridge Park, River Park. They're going to walk there because remember, we got that big empty. It ain't empty yet, but the transportation department is moving back to Staten Island, I assume.
Yeah, I can't even believe that all that space is open. And I think it was a good thing they saved that building, that red brick building that's there. I'm kind of glad they saved
it. That's a landmark. That's a landmark. They can't tear that down. I forgot. There's a history behind it that my nephew.
It is a lot of history behind it.
Saeed shared it on his stage one day. The history behind that building. It was real interesting.
A lot.
What made that a landmark? But anyway, but you know that property that's on. I need to be clear about that. That property that building's on, Allen, that open space, that don't belong to the Parks Department, or it's not in this plan. That studios.
Really?
It's a lot. It's a big lot where that house is on. It's a big empty lot. You can see it now. Ain't nothing on it because
I remember when we was kids, we used to go through there. That was a jungle. That was a jungle back there at one time.
Now the jungle part got back. No, the jungle part we got back. That's part.
No doubt.
That's under the bridge, directly under the bridge. We got that back. But that's Silverco. They plan on building some housing or something for them, for their movie studios. But anyway, a lot of research went into this, a lot of fighting and a lot of years. So, you know, there's a lot of knowledge, a lot of stuff I'm leaving out. But, you know, the bottom line is we've won all the Baby Park back. And not only is it one back, it's pretty much high on the priority list to restore it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta say this real quick. Right at Vernon, there's a little part of that used to be the Baby Park that they renovated. They was trying to, I don't know what they was trying to do to pieces, and they actually named it the renovation of the Queensbridge Baby Park. That's the name on the sign. You know, when people do construction, to say what they're building there. So they built something real small area, and what they actually did put in it was a sitting area. There's nothing in there had anything to do with a baby. And I was so pissed off about it. I let Julie Wong know. Julie Wong was on the groundbreaking committee. I found out. She said, you know, I said, wow. You don't know. I mean, I'm very connected in this community, and I find out, but don't come out in the wash. We'll come out in the rinse. I found that she was on the groundbreaking committee with Corinne Haynes, who was the resident association, and I went off on her. That's why Julie Wong knows me very well, because I'd be going off like, how did you wouldn't even, I spoke to you about helping me with my fight for the Queensbridge Park, all these petitions I did, and you know, trying to get the city to give us the park back. And you were saying that you couldn't do nothing because it was a capital project. And, you know, this excuses she gave me at the time when she first went into office, right? And Corinne, I don't know, one time she just kind of, when I was talking about can you stop whatever, she put, ain't nobody want to go back there, you know, like she looked at the negativeness of it, not what it used to be to us. That's why I don't know if she grew up here. I don't know.
She's too young. Listen, she's too young to know anything. She don't know shit. I mean, to be honest, because
she went there, and her sister went there too. What's her little sister name?
I don't know.
Oh shoot, I forgot her sister's name. You know her. You know her.
I probably know her. But like
anyway, she did not probably. You know her. If I say her name, you may not know that they're sisters.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, she did the same thing. Nobody wanted to go back there anymore. You know, like they didn't think that this was worth a fight. So how are you breaking ground on this baby park?
Because
they call him
she's trying to be a typical politician. And Danny, with that, like,
man, let me tell you, I went off. Just gonna say I went off. I said, because ain't none of you fought for this. And then, you know, the audacity, and I said this on the news on Channel 2, I believe it was, that they need to take that name down because what they're building there is not a baby park. Nothing in that park has anything to do with a baby or any kind of children. And this park, and I said, I find it really insulting that they even did that, because what I'm talking about, and I pointed to all this land you're looking at in that picture, I said, that was the baby park. So how you taking this little piece of land, it ain't even an acre, you know, and you're gonna call it the renovation of the baby park, like you're doing something to recognize. And I don't know. I would love to have been able to talk to the person who thought that was okay. You know, I don't know who that was on in the Parks Department. It probably was the Parks Department. But anyway, it didn't get past me. So now they asked me about that, right? I said that, you know, it would have been something else if they did it in the area and then they went all the way, you know, on the south side of Queens Plaza, right? So there's two sides. There's our north side, then there's under the bridge, and then there's that side, right? In the basketball court, you know, that's what they was close to, the other side. I said, if they would have fenced that seating area off and then built some stuff for the children back there, like some swings or whatever, you know, something, right? I said, I might not have been so angry at it, you know, but nothing in there is dedicated to children. So, like, what are you doing? And so now we got all that to work with, you know. So this on this Saturday, they're gonna do a walk and they're gonna come over here and they're gonna look at I've had several walks with several people, including the news and Julie Wong a couple of times. You saw I made this video. I can get to it real quick before we off of here. These are the plans. There you go. Is this guy? That's Kathy. Her last name just happened to be Boggs. We was talking about her, right? She's the organizer of.
Is this picture clear to you?
This was at Yeah. Can you see it?
Yeah, but it's not clear. It's not clear. I mean, maybe that's just me.
What you mean?
My view of it. That's just me, my view of it.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty clear from what I'm seeing here. And I was just saying that
that's all that matters.
The ladies, Kathy Parks, she's the chairperson or whatever, the president of this organization called New York for Parks. So she actually fight for the entire city, right? She's the organizations that fight to make sure parks get funded to be renovated, whatever they need. That's Nicolati. That's Julie Wong's second in command. Like I said, I forgot who this guy was here. Oh no, he's from Bishop Taylor's Erda, across the street from the from the business. So anyway, that day was the family day that they call Family Day. They didn't do Family Day, but they did this community day on the avenue. That's that same day. And we had set up a table and we was having these things in our hands are petitions. You know, we did the petitions to have the baby park restored. So at this point, we was fully fledged to try to get the city to give us back Queensbridge Park. And I already that we did win that. So you go on this site, like I said, there are some videos. Specifically, I did a very nice. Let's see if you can see it. Play it though. I wanted to play it, but it won't play. Technical difficulty. But I made this. I didn't make it. I had some assistance from a news person or maybe even Julie Wong.
It's a real nice video.
Yeah, very informative but pretty much telling me what we were fighting for. But we definitely won, you know. So to get back to the point, won, and we're getting ready to have this walk, right? And they're gonna walk Jackson Avenue over there by the all the way to Queens, but it's gonna end in Queensbridge. Just so people will, if they see this, will go to the site and you know see all those videos and see. Yeah, it came up.
Yeah.
So
that's good.
Is the walk.
To tell you the truth, I was going to tell you before we left, and this is a good way to end this because we done been here about an hour now and the game is on. But that's a perfect ending.
Yeah.
I was going to tell you to display that. And
people
so they
need to participate. If you don't even participate, pay attention to, because there's going to be future meetings, but this is the beginning of a walkathon. There's a lot of agencies. All these people are advocating for these open spaces that's going to come. I don't want to happen. People that aren't really friends of Queensbridge. Like you got friends of Queensbridge Park who aren't really our friend. You got Con Edison. Con Edison has a interest because of the promenade, right? That's gonna go right through their backyard because they have that training center over there, right next to the education building. There's the Con Edison Training Center. So they gave us some resistance, but they're on board now. And Town Creek, you know, but all these people got vested interests, you know. And Floating Hospital, I don't know what their interest is, but under the Floating Hospital, so hoping it's positive. The Long Island City Partnership, you know, that's on that other side of the track. But I've known people on committee. Donovan Richards, the borough president. Nydia Velasquez is our senator, and then Julie Wong. So there are some players here, you know. But we need to pay attention and pray because these are some politicians and big people. They got these organizations. No, I have zero. The only organization I got is Queensbridge Houses. You know, organization. I've been a resident there lifelong, and that to be able to have the discussion about what happens right here in our backyard in the baby park. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I fight for,
No
and that's
doubt.
what I feel like I'm included. All right. So like I said, if necessary, maybe we'll do something else in the future when I really get all the
I was just getting ready to say that. I was just getting ready to say that. This is not over. This is not the end. I want to have this conversation again, and
because we still got a plan committee, people that's going to discuss. You got to figure out what the design is going to be. I actually have a design that I had someone actually make of what this would look, should look like, or something close to it, something nice. I don't have it right now to show in this presentation, but I do have. I'm kind of holding back on it to see. Someone told me hold up on it to see so nobody don't steal the ideas. You know what I'm saying? One of those things.
Yeah.
It's not copyrighted thing.
Yeah.
So anyway,
well, look,
so
Danny,
yeah, please stay posted on this page. If I can't say anything else, hopefully they'll stay. They know about.
I'm gonna, as soon as I get back on Facebook, I'm gonna post the shit out of it, because I'm gonna tell you, just till the other day, I had never really seen this. I had never really seen. I knew what you was doing, but I hadn't seen all of this.
A lot of
stuff
on it.
Yeah,
there's a lot of information.
And you know what?
What
I need to say, Danny. You know what I need to say? Me or you don't live there anymore. And it seems like we're more concerned about what goes on in Queensbridge, and we don't even live there no more. We grew up there, though. Grew up there. That's why.
We got a saying. What we got? Don't they have a saying? Queensbridge everywhere, or something. There's another
everywhere.
saying.
Queensbridge is everywhere. Queensbridge is everywhere. And I have rep Queensbridge everywhere. I have rep Queensbridge everywhere. Look, Dan, I'm gonna get off this podcast. I want to watch this football. I ain't watched football all year, but I like watching these championships. So I'm gonna watch this football.
I missed the Knicks. I just missed the Knicks playing for this.
They playing too. They playing too.
Right. I downstairs watching it, but remember we was having the problems. So I came up here. But anyway,
yeah. Hey, people only knew what we just went through. What we just went through to do this. All the things we went through.
And I thank anybody that takes heed to what we're saying and join in on this reclaiming the Queensbridge Baby Park. Because I'm gonna tell you, I never thought I would see even this part in my lifetime. I had almost gave up because it wasn't happening. But at least I might live when you first started.
I remember. I was there with you when you first started this quest. I was there with you.
The plan is to have have a lot of this done by the year. I just need to throw this year out there by the year 2030, which is only like years now. But that was a number that was given that they want to see some significant development here. That's why I said it's number one on this list, right? Is Queensbridge Baby Park. That's why you need to be a part of it and not like sleep on it, because other people will come in there and do what they want to do.
Exactly.
So yeah, 2030 ain't far from here.
They've been doing it.
Yep.
But like I said, Danny, man, I love you, man, and appreciate what you've done and everything. Like I said, I've been behind you and supporting it all the way. And just for the day and just for right now, we're gonna end this so I can watch this game. I love you, man. And you have a good rest of the night and rest of the day.
Let's see this to the finish line. All right.
No doubt. I'm gonna get this posted. I'm gonna get this posted somewhere as soon as possible. Both segments. There's part 1 and part 2. All right.
Okay. Later.
Danny, man. Have a good night, man. And we'll talk again very soon.
All right.